Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast on YouTube, the show that we bring you each and every day. Audio version show are available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music now. If you'd like to contact the show, you'll get us at the _upper_ tier on Twitter. You can also email the show, the Upper Tier Podcast on gmail.com. We're joining us tonight. Obviously, Darren and Mark is back, our resident referee. How are we, Mark?
Cheers for having me back on, lads.
Right.
I've been staying away because of all the kind of inconsistencies of the referee, so I had to take a little break for a while, you know.
We've been abusing you enough on the show. You couldn't take it anymore.
That's it.
Listen, great to have you back. Darren, how are we doing, my man?
I'm all good, brother Niall. I'm all good. How are you?
Good. Not too bad. Just a little bit of housekeeping, folks. As you know, we've started our own channel, The Upper Tier. So if you could head over there and drop a subscribe and hit that bell notification button on it, that would be greatly appreciated. Tonight, we're doing a kind of a special show, kind of like a half-season review kind of report, Christmassy type of show, where we said we'd take a look at combined 11's. We'd look at our player of the season, flop of the season, and best and worst signing of the season. So it should be an interesting show with some interesting picks. We'll start with the combined 11's. Darren, you kick us off there. Don't give us them all now. We'll go through it like position by position. I don't know Absolutely. What formation you guys picked. I did a 3-4-3. So whatever way it works out, sure, we can fill in the blanks anyway. So Darren, kick us off there. Let's start in goals, as only we could start with you.
Yeah, so I mean, we spoke about this last night, didn't we?
We did.
There wasn't really too many opportunities to put United players into this starting 11 or this combined 11. So I went with the only man that I could put forward from United this season. He's been in fantastic form for us, I have to say. I'm going to put David De Gea forward for our number one position.
Mark, give us your goalkeeper.
Well, Darren, I hope you're playing a 4-2-2-2, is it?
Absolutely, Marky, yeah.
I haven't gone for De Gea. I've actually gone for Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal. Obviously, he's played 16 games, kept 6 clean sheets, pulled off that amazing save against Leicester that time. But not only that, I think he's just sure things up at the back for Arsenal. They need him. He's solid. He's good with his feet. And he'll be there for years to come as well,
Yeah, I think he's responsible for nearly 15 of the points that they have at the moment. At least he's been absolutely exceptional, and we were quite surprised when he was signed, and especially for 30 million, we were going, "What the hell is this about?"
Even Arsenal fans were thinking about that as well. There was a lot of doubt in their minds, but I think he's proved them all wrong.
Yeah, I think myself and Darren had a bit of a debate last night about it. We were talking off air, and we were talking about, well, you could put in Alisson or you could put in Ederson and stuff like that, but with the quality they have in front of them, exactly. They're not really worked, and when they are worked, they generally are okay. Exactly. So I sort of sowed the seed in Darren's mind for David De Gea as well, so I went with David De Gea as well. I know a lot of my Shankly Session supporters won't be too happy with that, but I went with David De Gea on the basis that he's been exceptional and literally been man of the match for Man United literally since the start of the season in practically every game. I think it's a great choice.
I think it's safe to say, from a Niall's point of view, that's the start and the end of all the United players in the team, I believe, is it?
Absolutely.
Be careful. There could be a few more.
Jorginho doesn't play for United. You know that,
Niall. Future Ballon d'Or winner, yeah. Darren, let's have a look at your back line. What do you know? What formation you went with?
Yeah, I went with a 4-2-3-1.
Okay. So give us your back four.
Okay, so back four. It was a tight call for me in the right back position. I'm a big fan of both of the lads, Trent and Reece James. But I have to say, and you won't be surprised at this, I'm not a massive fan of what Trent does defensively. I think offensively he's phenomenal, but I think he gives away so much space in behind and he gets caught so often, so far up the pitch, that for me, I went with Reece James in the right back position.
You better have Trent in your midfield, so.
In my centre back positions, I went for Virgil, and I went for Diaz as opposed to Rudiger, who was the other option for me. Again, I kind of think Rudiger has a little mistake in him and he can be a little bit rash at times. Chelsea have started to leak goals recently, and he's played in a lot of those games, where he's just been caught out of position. Now, there could be a little bit to do with, obviously the contract talks and stuff like that are ongoing, and the situation, and maybe he's taking his eye off the ball slightly. But I think Diaz has really shored up that City defence. Last season, obviously, he played with John Stones, looked very, very good. This season, he's inside Aymeric Laporte. The two of them have been so solid. They really have.
Yeah.
They've been excellent. So I went with Diaz and Big Virgil. And then I actually pushed this guy to my left back, even though he predominantly plays as a right back, is João Cancelo, because I just think he's absolutely off the charts as a footballer. He's so good. He can play kind of anywhere. He can play right back, he can play left back. You've seen him play in midfield. He's got great touch. He's got a super engine. His delivery is excellent. He's got an eye for goal. I just think he's been a massive addition to the City squad. And if you look at the deal that they got him on, it was Danilo plus cash for Cancelo, and you're thinking Danilo, did nothing at City. So for them to get somebody out the door like that, get him off the wages, get Cancelo in, not break the bank on him, it was a quality bit of business. So we've gone with Reece James and Cancelo as the fullbacks, and I gone with Big Virgil and Ruben Diaz as my centre backs.
Great pick, Mark. Give us your what formation did you go with, Mark?
I'm going 4-3-3, and I have three of Darren's back four. Again, it was between Reece and Trent. I went for Reece, Diaz, Van Dijk, but left full I went for Kieran Tierney off Arsenal. I've always liked him. It's not even this season. I've liked him for a while. I think he's a proper old school fullback. He likes a hard tackle. He likes to get stuck in, but he's good going forward as well. And I potentially see him as a future Arsenal captain as well.
Yeah, no, good choices. Interesting. I went with a back three, as I said. I went with a 3-4-3. So my back three, not dissimilar to yourselves. I went with Diaz, Virgil van Dijk, and Rudiger. That's who I picked as my back three. So Darren, kick us off then with your midfield.
Yeah, I went with two in midfield. I suppose the first option for me, again, another signing that City made that kind of went under the radar, and everybody thought, he's an average footballer. I think in the last 18 months, we've seen how good he is. It's Rodri. He's been absolutely superb for City. He really, really has, I just think when Fernandinho kind of started to decline a little bit and City fans were looking at this position and going, how do we fill this? And obviously he brought Rodri in, and he's a different type of player, but he's just shored up that midfield for them and given that protection to the back four, and he's been immense for them. The lad I've put in alongside him will probably surprise you, because I'm not a huge fan of his, but I have to give the devil his dues. He's been pretty good this season, so I'm going to put Jorginho in beside Rodri, and they're my two holding midfielders. One is going to play defensively, and then Jorginho is going to probably play in that double pivot, open out with the ball and just plays that little quarterback,
Yep. That's your midfield.
That's me two. Now I can go to me three in front if you want, or do you guys want to have a bite?
Finish it off there.
Yeah,
finish it off
there if you want to.
Yeah. So on my right side, the Egyptian king, Mo plays from the right, been superb this season. I don't think there's a better footballer in the league at the minute. I have to say he's been unbelievable. Really, really has. On the left hand side, Bernardo Silva again reinvented himself a little bit at City. His work rate is phenomenal. His work off the ball is just as good as his work rate on the ball. And when he gets the ball at his feet, he just glides. He's one of those players that when he moves with the ball, he moves he's so graceful with it. He almost moves quicker with the ball than he does without the ball. And that's kind of the really sign of a good footballer for me, It's so effortless for him, and he's been superb for City. In at the 10 position, I've put Phil Foden. I just think the kid's an absolute baller. I really, really do. Like I know he hasn't maybe got all the game time he's wanted this season. He's obviously stepped out of line a couple of times, and Pep's had to give him a little slap on the hand and stuff like that. He's popped up with a goal tonight, but it just seems like when he plays, he's part of it. He's part of goals, assists, there's man of match performances. And the big games, he always plays and he always shows up again. Sign of a good footballer, So we've gone with Rodri and Jorginho. And then I've gone with the three in front, Salah, Foden, and Bernardo Silva.
Nice. Great picks. Give us yours, Mark.
Midfield, I've gone for Conor Gallagher. Obviously he's done a fantastic job at Palace.
Right choice.
Remember that West Ham game away? They were playing West Ham away. He turned that game on its head. It's going to be difficult to see will he actually get back in the setup at Chelsea. I don't know. The strength and depth that they have, it'd be unlikely. I've gone for Smith Rowe off Arsenal as well. He's made 17 appearances. He's got a good few goals. I think he's got 7 or 8 goals and a good few assists as well. But I know he hasn't played the last few games because Odegaard and Martinelli have been playing exceptional, and they've got into a rhythm. So he's found it hard. But all the talk was about Saka a lot of this part this season, and Smith Rowe for me kind of went under the radar. Then he burst onto the scene again, so I put him into my midfield.
He scored from the last 2 subs, hasn't he? He's got the goal both substitutions, hasn't he?
And I think he got an assist as well, a goal and assist off the bench as well. So it just shows what you can actually do, Yeah. But like I said, with Odegaard and Martinelli playing there, he's just found it hard to get in,
Yeah.
And the next one I've gone for is Bowen off West Ham.
Nice.
I think he's been exceptional for them this season. He's scored some important goals at really important times when, you look at Antonio, he hadn't scored in 8 games, and Bowen, I think, scored in 4 of them, I think, or something like that. So he took he picked up a lot of the slack that was there. So we've gone for them 3 in midfield.
Cool. Do you want to finish out your front line?
Yeah. I've gone for it pains me to say I've gone for Mo himself.
Should be paying you. He's exceptional.
Yeah, no, he is. He's world class. Like, there's no doubt about it. But it's self-explanatory, isn't it? He's just lethal. The goals he scored this season. Remember that goal? It was against Brighton, or was it?
The one against City, where he put the boys on that back. It was an exceptional goal.
He took out 2 or 3 players there. Do you know what I mean?
The week before against Watford, I think.
That's the one.
Yeah, it was one after each other each week. Yeah, absolutely.
But at times it looks like the ball is just glued to his foot. Like, it's just phenomenal. Like, Yeah. On the other side, I've gone for, it's just a lad I've talked about in the matchup before. I've gone for Mason Mount. I've thrown him up there to play. Again, he's just he's still only young. He's been involved. He's kind of been in and out a little bit, but when he's getting his opportunity, he's taking it really well, in my opinion. He's always lively. When he has the ball, something's going to happen.
You're a big fan of his, Mark, aren't you? You bring him on shows. Yeah, you're a big fan of his. Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic player, because he's fearless as well. He'll run, like, you get players nowadays that won't run at fullbacks. He just runs at them. He doesn't care, And if you look at it, he's kind of like Grealish. He wins a lot of free kicks for Chelsea as well. So I've gone for him. And the last one, I was in 2 minds what to do, to be honest with you. I was going for either Dennis off Watford, because for me, he's been some boy, like, but 3.5 million from Bruges. But I've mixed it up. I didn't want to go for the obvious ones. I'm going for a Sam Maximum off Newcastle, because under Steve Bruce, I thought he just flourished. I thought he was unbelievable, He's a pacey player. He likes getting behind, and he scores a lot of goals. He's kind of it's taken him a while to embed into Eddie Howe's way of doing things. But obviously it's unfortunately he got injured the other night against ourselves. Well, unfortunate for Newcastle fans, it was a lucky break for us, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's what I've gone for him in my front 3.
Interesting picks.
Yeah, I just had to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Darren's looking at it thinking, did we set a budget like a fantasy football team or what? Darren's thinking Phil Foden, Sam Maximum.
No, it's just, like I said, I just wanted to mix it up. I didn't get the cheat code for LMA Manager,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll give you mine. Some of them are not dissimilar, to be honest, but I went with 4 across the middle. Of course, I got Trent in there. So I didn't put him in that defensive role too much to highlight his qualities, as only a good manager would do. Darren, I agreed with you on Rodri, but I put Declan Rice in there with him.
Okay.
I thought it'd be a nice combination. And I went for Cancelo on the far side, not in the back, but more forward. And then for my front three, of course, Mo Salah's in there. And I went with Bernardo Silva, but I put him in the middle. And I put Jota to the left. So I went with a front three of Mo Salah, Bernardo Silva, and Diogo Jota.
I was actually looking at Jota as well, he's a really good show.
Jota's my 11 player. He's my one up front.
Yeah.
I put Jota in. My front line consisted of Salah, Foden, Silva, and Jota. So 2 from Liverpool, 2 from City. The 2 best attacking teams in the league, going absolute country mile. Yeah.
Brilliant combined 11's, lads. Especially Mark, that was an interesting one. You went into it like you went deep and you had a good look, so.
Yeah, I didn't waste my lunch hour today. I tell you that.
Yeah, me and Darren didn't put a budget in place at all. We could buy whatever we wanted. You were thinking of poor Eddie Howe and the budget and all that kind of thing.
They don't call me Tony Pulis for nothing,
Let's get into next one. I suppose player of the season. Darren, you take us on that one. I mean, it's self-explanatory. I presume the 3 of us are probably just going to agree, are we?
If we don't agree, there's something wrong. There's only one way.
Can't be Sam Maximin.
There's only one way to go on this. He's been unbelievable. Really has. As Mark said earlier, it pains me, but Salah is at the minute. I don't think there's an argument that he's not the best player on the planet right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And and that's not something I enjoy saying, but it's the truth, and you can't argue with the truth at times, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. You agree, Mark? Mo Salah?
Yeah.
Mo Salah.
Absolutely,
yeah. Let's go then. Flop of the season. And if you want, I know this is a tough one, because you do have to look at this one. I picked 2, and I couldn't really split them. One of them I think might surprise you, but it depends. Mark, you kick us off. Give us your flop of the season, or if you want to give us 2, you can give us 2 if you're stuck.
Well, for the flop of the season, I kind of went on a player that was the expectation of him coming into the club was unbelievable, and he just hasn't done it. And it's Mr. Niguez himself, Sam Niguez coming in, all the hype about him. We talked about him in the mashup so many times. We spoke about him, his performances in the La Liga and the Champions League, and he's come in and he's done absolutely nothing.
So you have him as your worst signing, I presume, is it?
Yeah. Sorry, the worst signing. Yeah.
As opposed to the flop of the season. So
the flop of the season, I was going to give it to RL centre half, slab-headed himself.
Okay, interesting. Darren, give us your flop of the season, or if you want to give us 2.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at this, obviously we talk about the signing, the best signing and the worst signings, but the flop is maybe somebody who you expect a little more of week to week, that maybe been in the league and stuff like that for quite a while, I thought there was quite a few candidates. I think Mark has hit the nail on the head though. I think Maguire has been absolutely dreadful this season. He really, really has. Again, it's not something to take joy in, but I mean, we expect so much. He's England centre half. He's United captain and stuff like that. He'd gone into the summer with a good vein of form and stuff like that. We obviously missed him towards the back end of the season with the Europa and stuff like that. But since he's come back from the summer, he's just looked like a fish out of water. He's been troubled week on week. There's been calamity errors left, right, and centre. At times I felt like it was Phil Jones in the skies. I was just thinking, is there something going wrong here? Like, this guy looked a footballer. He looked assured of himself. He looked like he had, the ability to communicate with the guys around him and the goalkeeper and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden, he just looks like somebody's been dropped into the middle of a team, doesn't know anything about the guys around him, doesn't know this kind of tactical formation or anything like that the team is trying to play, and he's just been so poor.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I went with 2 that I kind of couldn't separate. 2 guys, one that I would expect to always perform really, really well and at a high level. But you know who I'm talking about, because his head was turned a bit in the summer. A man who was seeking to go elsewhere and get silverware, Harry Kane, who I think so far has had a pretty poor season up till the last week or two. I think prior to this week or last week, he's had 1 goal in the league or something like that, which is shocking for Harry Kane. A guy who you would expect week on week to be at least a goal in every 2 games minimum. So I thought that. And the other one I put in there was a guy who I thought was really going to kick on based on the signings that came into the club. And it's your own club that I'm talking about you boys. Bruno Fernandez. I expected huge things from Bruno Fernandez this season, and I just think he's been absolutely shocking. I thought with Ronaldo going in there as well, I thought that really would have opened him up in terms of pushing him onto that next level. I know last year he was exceptional at times and driving the team on and playing that captain role and all that kind of stuff. And I thought with the quality of Varane coming in and Ronaldo and Jaden Sancho and all that, this guy would have just springboarded into stardom, and he has dropped back into really nothing, to be honest. They were the 2 I put in for flop of the season.
I was going to say, I think we had high hopes, I know it was only Leeds, but his hat-trick on the first day of the season, but it's just been downhill since that, hasn't it, really?
Absolutely.
Can I just make an honourable mention for flop of the season? I did pick Maguire, but I also just scribbled down Aubameyang as well off Arsenal. I think his antics on and off the pitch have just been, he got away with it a little bit last season, but, there's no way he deserved to keep the captaincy and the way he was going on. Sometimes if he's performing on the pitch, it's kind of swept under the rug a bit, but he hasn't been even doing that at times this season as well. So I'll give him an honourable mention. Yeah,
great show. Absolute brilliant show. Actually, I mean, he could be one that you'd put up top of the list really in terms of a guy who you would have expected to be right up there,
Yeah, see, I think I only, sorry for coming across you.
Not at all.
I think I only went for Harry because I watch him week in, week out. That's a way where I wouldn't deal with Aubameyang,
I think the scary thing is, you couldn't really argue about any of the forwards, could you?
No.
I mean, you've got the 2 Harrys, Kane and Maguire. You've got Aubameyang and you've got Bruno Fernandez. Like, any of those 4, you could quite conceivably give the award to flop of the season so far, couldn't you really,
Yeah. There are 4 players who you expect to be world class.
Absolutely.
Who have just fallen by the wayside. And it's just, even as a Liverpool fan, I'm so disappointed in the development of Bruno Fernandez at United. I can't believe the drop off. It's unbelievable. It's
the Ronaldo effect, isn't it?
It is,
it is. Yeah. And then you wonder if the Harry Maguire thing is the Varane effect.
Well, I mean, if you look at how stifled Fernandez looks when he plays for Portugal as well, because he doesn't necessarily play into the fact of having a striker like that. Like, he plays as a 10, he plays where he's trying to create but score. Every time he picks up the ball outside the box, he's looking to take a shot, get a shot off. We haven't seen that in the last few weeks. We haven't seen him driving forward, picking up the ball in areas, looking to create, looking to score. Everything's been very slow, and every time he gets the ball, he looks for his mate Ronaldo. And if it's not on, he's kind of sulking, and you're like, Jesus, it's a massive step backwards. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into best signing. Darren, best signing so far this season?
Ramsdale, 100%. Absolute country mile. 100%. And I think, obviously we spoke last night about Ramsdale and De Gea. My heart put De Gea into the team earlier on, just so we had a representative. But my head was Ramsdale. He's been unbelievable since he's come in. I didn't foresee it myself, I have to be honest. I thought he was a good goalkeeper, but I thought the fee was quite big for what they were getting. And I thought, Bernd Leno wasn't a massive issue at Arsenal. I didn't necessarily see him taking over the number one role so quickly. And obviously after the international break, they changed. They went with Ramsdale and stuff like that after they had a couple of defeats, and they changed things around. And since then, he's just been outrageous. Like, he's literally been a human highlight reel for about 17 games, where you could mash up his saves, over the last 16, 17 games, and the tape you'd have would be absolutely outrageous. Really, really would.
Yeah, I think the three of us as well our affection in terms of goalkeepers and stuff like that. I think when he makes a great save and the way he gets up and he celebrates like a striker scoring a goal and he's slapping the head off lads in the back line and all, and it's fabulous to see, and it's
do you remember he was having a laugh with the Leicester fans when he was taking the goal kick and all? It's great to see. Like, he has character and he has a personality. But I'd agree with you. He's my I have him down as my top signing as well.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, great choice. Worst signing?
Well, I mentioned mine there earlier on. Eno won't be too happy to hear about it.
Yeah, it's a great shout, in fairness. Absolute great shout. In fairness, it's not too bad because they only have him on loan, so they can pack him off in January. But and I think it's an interesting one as well, because when Chelsea did bring him in on loan, we thought that was a great bit of business. He's a decent player and was very good at Atletico for a long time, so it was surprising that he came in and he just hasn't adjusted at all. Darren, give us your worst signing.
Yeah, so I mean, I would have spoken about this guy quite a bit last season on the mashup. And I know we spoke about where he was going to end up, because obviously he was leaving Southampton. And we knew he was leaving Southampton. And there was big shouts, maybe he was on his way to Spurs, and then he was on his way to City. And all of a sudden he ended up at Aston Villa. I just think Danny Ings has been woeful. Absolutely woeful. For a guy that we come to expect a level from, for the first half of the season anyway, he's been miles off that level. He really, really has. I know there was COVID issues and there was injuries and but I mean, his returns, everything is just way down on where it should be for a guy like Danny Ings. He's a very, very good footballer. And he's a great finisher. He kept Southampton in the Premier League for the last couple of seasons almost single-handed, and we see how difficult they're finding it without him. So it was Danny Ings for me.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt on his quality. I think he went through a tough time as well with Dean Smith chopping and changing constantly all the time, and then you'd Bailey in and out of the team with injury and stuff like that. Buendia was kind of in and out as well, and there was no real structure there. And as you said, Mark, Darren, I think you mentioned it a week or two ago on the show, how himself and Ollie Watkins are very alike, and it's one or the other. It's not both, and they were trying to fit the two in as well, so one was getting a little bit lost. So I think there's no doubt if he was in a proper formation or something like that, you'd see the better of Danny Ings. There's no doubt his quality in his finish, and especially you've seen it last year at Southampton. But good show. The one I put in was I looked hard at this one to see, who's out there, who did I have high expectations from, who was coming in, a lot of money paid, big reputation, coming in as the superstar signing of the summer. And the guy I put in there, and I've been very disappointed in him, who was a goal machine and an assist machine in the Bundesliga, Jaden Sancho, who I thought was going to be absolutely massive, was going to come into United and set the Premier League absolutely alight. And it's not necessarily down to him as well. I think there was issues there with Solskjaer as well. There was issues there in terms of formation and all that kind of stuff. And we know United has gone through a bit of upheaval and all that kind of stuff, and Ranić's coming in. But I think even under, if you look at the 3 or 4 games he's played, even under Ranić, at times he's been found wanting as well. I think if you looked at him the other night, he just looked really, really lost. Darren, don't know what you're thinking on that. Am I harsh? Am I?
Yeah, I think it's harsh enough. If I'm honest. I would have had Jack Grealish ahead of him. For the 100 million City paid for Grealish, he's barely scratched his arse so far, and he's a guy who's played in the league week in, week out for the last few years. He's a guy, City must have expected massive things from, and so far he has not delivered. So I personally think, you're being a little bit harsh on Sancho.
Sancho hasn't had the game time. He hasn't started consistently. But when he's come on, you seen the other night when they were playing the ball out to him, Maguire's trying to play that diagonal pass out to him. He looks lively when he gets on the ball. Yeah,
he did. When Niall mentioned to me how disappointed he was in them in the Newcastle game, I thought, he only came on at half time, and he certainly wasn't the worst player on the pitch. No. I thought he looked to try and create, and I thought he was lively at times. But again,
I suppose I'm just comparing him to the player that I watched last year in the Bundesliga, who was absolutely unplayable. Like,
But don't forget Niall as well. He had the summer from hell missing that penalty for England during the Euros. There, he got a lot of abuse over the summer on social media. And I've spoken about this before. A lot of people are feeling sorry for Saka and Rashford and all, but he was that third player, and no one gave him that kind of sympathy as well. You know.
Yeah.
And the even bigger issue for me is, I mean, first of all, he's come from Germany, which, you know, outside of maybe Dortmund and Bayern, we know the level drops off in comparison to the Premier League. You know, we know the level outside of those top 2-3 teams, even if we're pushing it, is a lot lower in comparison to the Premier League. But the other thing is, show me somebody who's not going to look good next to Haaland. Because you can put any sort of a ball in that box and all of a sudden it goes down as an assist because he's managed to do something with it. Where, you know, when you're putting balls into the box at United and somebody's not getting on the end of it, all of a sudden, you know, you don't have those statistics to back up what you're doing, you know. I'm certainly not saying by any stretch of the imagination he's been wonderful. But I don't think he's been as bad as some of the other lads out there, I've got to say.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at the expectation in terms of he's in there and you have Cavani, you have Ronaldo, you have Rashford, you have Greenwood, you have all these players in there that are really, really, really good players. There's no doubt about it. And then you put him into that mix there as well. And I just thought in terms of the wave of expectation when he came in, I thought was really, really big. I mean, he was, you know, United's marquee sign. I know Ronaldo came in kind of at the death and sort of stole the thunder really as the prodigal son coming home and that type of thing, you know. But when you look at Sancho going in there and you think about him linking up with Ronaldo, Bruno, all these different players, I just think my expectation would have been a lot higher. And I know there's a drop off in the Bundesliga when you step out of Dortmund and Bayern and stuff like that. But we've seen in the past, we've also brought in some decent players at times from Leipzig and stuff like that through the league. But yeah, that was my expectation was just up here really in terms of Jaden Sancho. I expected him to be that star. And I mean, you rightly said, I mean, maybe he hasn't had the game time that he should have. And then you have to ask yourself, why? You know, why hasn't he had the game time that he should have had, you know?
It's funny how Salah was your player of the year, Bruno was your flop of the year, and Sancho was your worst sign of the year.
I had Harry Kane in there as well, in fairness now.
Get out with that, will you?
And I changed my goalkeeper to De Gea. So
get out of there, will you?
He had Solskjaer as manager of the year.
Yeah.
I didn't do manager of the year.
Donny van de Beek was a 12th man as well.
Donny van de Beek's lucky he wasn't in this transfer window.
I actually jotted down the manager of the year, put David Moyes down. I think he's done fantastic for West Ham this season.
Yeah, I think so. I never even thought of it really, but I suppose Darren, who would you put in manager of the year so far?
Only one manager of the year, lads. Pep is a genius. City are just snowballing teams at the minute. He hasn't got a recognised
Mark again is working off the football manager budget as well still.
Mark likes the old bargain basement.
Mark, I was explaining to Darren, Mark, you're a big Blackpool fan. Darren was watching Blackpool tonight.
Yeah, Blackpool Middlesbrough, yeah. It was nil all there when I seen it last.
Middlesbrough beat them 2-1.
Was it 2-1? Oh.
Yeah, I missed out on I did a little accumulator earlier on. I had Ben Brereton Diaz, Romelu Lukaku, Phil Foden all scored. And I was waiting on a Blackpool boy, Jerry Yates, for about 630 quid. Oh, and he didn't get on. He didn't get on the score sheet, unfortunately.
Who scored from tonight, Darren? Did you see?
Shane Lavery.
Lavery, yeah, he scores a few as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Jerry Yates is always a good first-time goal scorer. But
yeah, absolutely.
Let's put the old Blackpool bets until they beat the bookie now of a Friday.
You stretch me. I'd have to go all the way down through the bookies to get the odds and all as it is.
You're right. Super seaside.
We don't make it easy for you.
You want to be careful. You two will have to start doing a championship episode or something like that. Or, you're in love with that championship no matter what's going on. Well, lads, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on. Our first kind of out of the box kind of show, if you like, on the new channel, the upper tier out there on YouTube. So head over there, give us all the support you can. Also, drop your combined 11s into the comments. Let us know what your combined 11 was. Are we crazy? Mark went for San Maximum. I just want to reiterate that. So if you have any comments in related to that, when you were calling them out, I was looking at Darren's face and it was just priceless.
Lads, like I said, I just wanted to mix it up.
I think he's only played about 6 games this season.
He's played more than that. What I haven't written down.
I don't think he has.
But now it's the potential that he has as well, man. He's just now, like I said, he's seen it against. I suppose it's not too bad when you're looking at him chasing against Harry Maguire. But yeah, no, I was just saying to mix it up, lads. Just maybe
United might swap Martial for him or something in the transfer window. Make his all.
How really much of a win would that be?
Oh man,
that is like swapping your shite for corned beef, isn't it?
Jesus, brilliant.
Oh
god. Yeah,
I'm telling you,
just to make your even happier. Man City just had a goal disallowed, thank God. But man, a pleasure as always, and we will talk to you again real soon.